Welcome to episode 25 of the Purpose Driven Funnel Show. Today I'm talking with Caroline Johnson, who shares her story and transitioning to her business full time and talks about the fears that she faced and how she dealt with those, as well as finding the passion behind her business. So I hope you enjoyed today's show with some powerful insights. I'm embarking on a journey to grow a successful online business so I can break free from my 9 to 5. The question is, how will I do it? Find out right here on the Purpose Driven Funnel Show, where you will get an insider's view as I interview experts who have succeeded. I'm doing it because my why is bigger than my 9 to 5. Life was meant to be a joy, not a chore. Will you join me? Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/purpose-driven-funnels. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Well, today I'm talking with Caroline Johnson, and she is the owner and founder of the Line Writing Company. She helps small businesses tell their story with powerful content. I'm really excited to have you on the show today, Caroline. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited and to just talk with you about kind of a little bit of everything business.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to learn more about you. So why don't we start with, your story? So you've got your own business, you're in that full time, but why did you go into your own business, and kind of just tell us how that story unfolded?
Definitely. So it actually starts when I was a child. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I've kind of always been just very entrepreneurial minded. Especially as a kid, I was just always looking for ways to make money. I was always looking for ways to do a service for other people. And that kind of translated through my entire schooling. I would pick up odd jobs. I would babysit. I would come up with creative chores. So I kind of always had an inkling to be a service provider. And when I was in college, I knew, or before I went to college, actually, I knew that I wanted something to make a little bit of extra money and to meet new people. And so I actually learned how to tie-dye t-shirts. And so it's so crazy because I always laugh and say that tie-dye t-shirts kind of led me to where I am today, because it was one of my first experiences of making a product and selling it to people and kind of showing them why it would add something to their life, whether it's a little bit of spirit wear for college or whatever it is. And so all through college, I kind of just would always look for the next thing to do. I'm looking for new opportunities, and I've always been someone that likes to have my hand in a lot of different pots. And growing up, another thing that was something that I enjoyed was writing. And I would write stories as a kid, or kind of write little poems or whatever it might be. And when I was in high school, I began blogging for myself. And so I kind of realized that blogging was a way for me to explain the things that I was feeling and to connect with other people. And I think that something special about writing that I realized is that it makes people feel a little bit less alone in what they're doing. So I went to college, not at all studying writing or anything with English, nothing. So I've never honestly had any formal education with writing. But in college, I kind of kept that going. I kept that momentum going. I was using writing to really sort through my thoughts on the impending graduation and on adulthood that was coming up, and kind of just really looking for a way to make an impact on the people around me. And so I went into the world of nonprofits, hoping for that would kind of be my future. And I ended up I did a couple internships with some nonprofits. I had 2 jobs after school, but I wanted something more. And so 2 years after graduation, I kind of realized, I need a creative outlet, and I missed that entrepreneurial spirit that was so alive in me for my entire life, pretty much. And so I kind of went out on a limb and I said, you know what, I'm going to start writing for other people. If I can do it for myself, and if I can use it as a way to connect with people, then I can do it for others. So I started learning a little bit about how to write more marketing and branding focused And I just started offering blog posts for maybe a couple handful of clients for a couple months. And that started in February of 2018. And then I started seeing that it could grow. And I knew that it wasn't going to be something that would grow magically on its own. I knew that it was going to take some education and some hard work and some long nights. And so in June of 2018, I decided to quit my job, and it was terrifying. And I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I just felt really calm about it, and I felt really at peace that it was the right next adventure for me to take on. So I did. And so since July of last year, I have been kind of honing my craft and really just moving mountains with my business. It's taken a while, and it takes some hard lessons and some long days, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, that's awesome. So I want to back up just a little bit in something in the beginning of your story you were talking about. I heard you say that you were always looking for the next thing to do. So I'm a little bit curious about that because obviously it was, you had started into something different, but what was the kind of reasons behind why you would say that you were always looking for the next thing rather than maybe this is the thing?
Right, right. I think I kind of always loved being creative and connecting with others. And that was kind of always my motivation, was meeting more people and making new relationships. And whatever kind of odd jobs I was doing in and out of college and after college, I was always really focused more on the people and the impact that I was making. And so I think I just kind of wanted a way to marry that want and that desire to connect with others, but also to be happy while doing it. And I think that none of the jobs that I really ever did fulfilled that. And I think that I'm also just not the best employee. I love to work for others, but I think that I do really well when I'm on my own and when I'm creative and when I can just do things at my own pace and when I'm able to just kind of be on fire about something and run with those impulses and just do big things. And I think I kind of felt like I would never really get that at the full-time jobs that I was working. And so I think that that's kind of what pushed me into doing something that was more out of the box, and that was starting my own business. And I think that that kind of made me realize that, I need a creative outlet. Number one, I need a way to connect with people. Number two, I need a way to make myself happy and passionate and just really diving in. And I think that I could accomplish all of those things through starting my own thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. So can you give us some little insight on how did you know, when you've discovered, writing content for other people, how did you just discover that that was your thing, that you just knew that that was the thing that you wanted to do for, the long term?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of just build up. I think that I tried different avenues of different creative outlets. Like I tried when I was younger doing art, and I tried doing music, and I just never really found myself talented at any of those kinds of creative outlets. And it's kind of funny because my mom was telling me that when I was in third grade, my teacher said that I was the best student, or excuse me, the best writer to come out of his class. And it's just kind of funny because writing was never something I was drawn to as a kid. It was more just kind of something I kind of became naturally, for lack of sounding a little bit, tooting my own horn, but it just kind of came naturally. And I think that I really was able to create a unique style of writing as I began blogging, because originally I started my blog because I was going on a mission trip, and I wanted to share my adventures and things that I saw. And it was a lot to process as a high schooler, to process seeing such different ways of life and such different cultures up close and personal. And so I started that blog as a way to kind of process that for myself, but also to share it with the people that had donated to help me get there. And then from there, I kind of started to translate that into every aspect of my life. So when it was in college, I would write about things like figuring out what my next steps are and not knowing kind of what to do and just feeling overwhelmed. And then post college, I was getting ready to get married, and it was kind of dealing with those kinds of things. Like, what am I, how do I know what I'm doing? Or does anyone else connect to this or anything like that? And so I think how I landed on small businesses was everyone that I met has such a unique story. And I think with small businesses, I realized that a lot of the times we need a way to stand out in a crowd, and we can't stand out in a crowd by not truly being our authentic selves. And so I think what I was able to do is use kind of my gift with connecting with others and use that to really create content for people that made them see themselves in such a new light and made them be someone that others saw as someone they wanted to connect with.
Yeah, I love that, because what I'm hearing you say is that you basically kind of found something that you were just kind of naturally gifted or talented at doing, and you were able to actually turn that into a business that you're passionate about.
Yeah, I feel extremely blessed to be able to have done that, because I think that it's something that I'm lucky that that's happened to me at such a young age, because I think that there's so much room to grow and to learn. And it's something that every day I'm kind of like, even on the hard days, it keeps me going, because I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I feel so confident in that. And I feel like that's kind of my X factor, is that I'm doing it with such heart behind it. And I'm doing it in order to make people feel confident and amazing about what they're doing in their business, because sometimes we need someone else to tell us that and to share our story. And I think that hearing feedback from people that tell me, they'll read what I write and they start to see themselves in such a new light, or whatever it might be, is just something that's so rewarding as a copywriter.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then that's kind of the whole point behind, the purpose-driven funnel show, is to, find a business that you can be successful at, that really, gives purpose to your life, or something that, you're really passionate about. And that's
Sure.
awesome that you found something that you're passionate about that you're also just naturally really good at. So, what would you have any particular advice for those people that are like, man, I'm passionate about a lot of stuff, but I don't know if I can turn it into a business? Is it necessary, do you think, to have a skill and a passion line up together? Or what would you say on that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I would say to that. I think a lot of it for me was kind of trying it out before I dove all in. I think that was kind of I took a stepping stone, I guess I would say, by not offering it as this huge ordeal, but kind of offering it as this little, baby step into what I thought that I wanted to do. So, I started offering just blog posts, and I saw if that would get some traction, and I saw if that would even be something I was good at. And then kind of from there, I decided to keep adding things on and kind of find that sweet spot. And I tried things that I didn't succeed in. I tried doing social media graphics, and just wasn't my thing. I'm just not a graphic designer. And so I think it's kind of, for me, was a process of trial and error. And so I guess what I would probably say as a piece of advice is to start small. I do believe that there's power in diving into something. And I do think that it's important to be persistent to kind of see the results you want. But before you kind of turn your life upside down, like, dip your feet in the water first, and just kind of see if it's something that keeps you getting up every day. Because at the end of the day, if you start something just because you're passionate at the time, you might not love it forever. And so it's kind of dipping your feet in and taking it day by day and trying out new services or anything like that, to just kind of find what works for you and what you're passionate about, because you'll quickly realize if you're not passionate about it. I think that happens a lot.
So are there like days like when you wake up and you're doing your business and you're like, man, I just don't know if I'm passionate about that right
now? Oh, 100%. I think that we all have a certain amount of self-questioning that we do every day as business owners. I think it's kind of, for me, I know it's what am I doing? I took this huge risk. I'm really just kind of going by just faith and by tenacity, and what am I doing, and what if it doesn't work? And so I do think that, there are so many days where I will just feel kind of questioning or not sure what I'm doing, but I always come back to that why that I started in the first place. And I think that that's something that I always encourage people that I work with and my clients. I always encourage them go back to that why and get re-energized about what you're doing as often as you need to. And sometimes for me, that's once a week. There's some weeks where I'm just like, I need to re-energize myself and remind myself what I'm doing. And that's okay. I mean, it happens and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's easy at first to kind of take those days of low passion or questioning and take those as a sign of failure or as a sign of I shouldn't be doing this. But I think the most growth happens when you kind of take that in stride and push through, as long as it's still something that's making you happy.
So what would you say, like, how do you know, like, if you just kind of woke up and like, this is just, I'm just not passionate about this right now, versus like when you were talking about like other things, like you just like, you knew that those weren't the thing for you. So how do you know like when something just becomes like, I know this isn't for me anymore?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of just this deep gut feeling. I don't really know if there's an exact way to describe it, but I think that for me at least, I always come back to that kind of feeling of calmness when I think about what I'm doing. And there have been weeks where I've just said, I don't think I should be doing this anymore. Or, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think that I just keep kind of putting one foot in front of the other and trying it again and trying something new. For me, my kind of re-energizers are education. So I'll look into a course online or I'll watch a video that another copywriter has done, or I'll talk to people about my business. And I think that a lot of the time when we talk to others, it's a really good gauge to figure out if we're truly passionate about something, especially with people that we're close to. I would say talk to a spouse or a partner or a best friend or a family member or anyone who knows you best, and tell them what you want to do and tell them what you're doing, and just notice how your voice, notice the things that you get excited about or the things that you're kind of just saying out of obligation. And I think that that's kind of a cool way to really gauge, am I really passionate about what I'm doing, or is this something that I'm temporarily doing to avoid something else in my life? And I think I struggled a lot when I quit at such a young age because I was so scared that people were going to think that I just quit because I'm one of those millennials that can't stay somewhere for longer than a year. And I was so paralyzed by that fear that it took me a while to really say it out loud and be like, no, this is something that I'm going to do, because no matter what age I am or what my education is, I feel like this is my next thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's some good insight. I definitely appreciate that, because I mean there are definitely days I wake up and I go, man, I just don't know if I'm really passionate about this anymore or right now. And
Right.
so it's good to remember to go back. I guess, why did I start doing this in the first place? So things
Yeah.
that would go through my head are getting
Right.
away from that nightmare jobs that I've
Right. And I
had.
think that's also just part of our culture and our society is this, a lot of people aren't happy in their jobs, and that's sad. I think it's
Yeah.
something that I've kind of noticed to the majority of people I would say that I talk to, is that they're just not happy in their corporate jobs. They're not happy with whatever's up next for them. And it's just this kind of sad reality. And as much as I was scared that people would judge me or think that I was just a stupid millennial, I kind of was like, you know what, I refuse to be that. And if whatever it takes to get there, I'm going to get there. And so I think that for me was a huge motivating factor, and it's been huge when I talk to people. And a lot of people actually have reached out to me privately, friends or people that I haven't heard from in years, or old coworkers, and they just want to hear kind of about why I did what I did. And it just is cool to see it kind of spark something in them, because I think sometimes it takes talking to someone else who's done it, or realizing that other people have done it and they've survived, to really make that move for themselves.
Yeah, that's something other interesting too, that you're talking a little bit about, the fears and things that you went through. Um, when you were actually talking into, planning on going to full-time business from a job, and some of those thoughts were going through your head, I can't stay anywhere, people are going to judge me and whatnot.
Right.
Was there hesitation that you had in like telling your friends and family like what you wanted to do because of the fear of maybe not being able to succeed and then have that maybe backfire on you or something like that? So I know that's something that I think about quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. And it's also crazy the amount of people who will say to me now, "Are you still doing that writing thing?" And it's funny because I can't blame them for asking me that, because the amount of people that probably, do something a little crazy and then are like, "Oh, wait, never mind." Like, let me go back and, go back to what I was doing before. That's a lot harder than I thought I would be. And so, yeah, I definitely think that there was fear surrounding me, and there still is. I mean, I still run into people on occasion, and I'm not saying this for a woe is me, but I've been to networking events where men have told me, "Oh, your husband must have a good job," when I tell them what I do, or comments like that I don't think will ever really end, because I think that we're still moving in the process towards a majority of people being entrepreneurs. I think that it's not something that we're going to get to right away, but I do think that it's important to just keep being confident in it. And I think that that's something that I have been a lot better at recently, is when people ask me what I do, I don't discount what I do. I don't decrease the value that I add by what I do. I kind of just have learned to really confidently say, I'm a small business owner and this is what I do for people. And I think that that's something that took me a year probably to really say confidently, to especially people that I don't know, or people that I've maybe interacted with before, and they ask, what are you doing, or what do you do for work? And I think working from home can also present its own set of challenges, because people don't necessarily take it as seriously as if you were to do an office job. And that's kind of a conversation that I've had to have with people, especially with my husband or close friends, is, this is my 9 to 5. I mean, I'm not at work, but I'm at my house. And so I think that that's kind of been something that I've had to work on myself, is saying no to people asking for coffee, or, things like that I can't work in that day maybe. And I think that that's been a huge thing, is kind of once I started respecting what I did, then I was able to communicate it in a way that others would respect it also.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I, for one, applaud you for taking the plunge despite the fears and doubts and the people's, crazy comments that they make.
It's okay. It's only been a handful, and no one that I personally know.
Well, that's good. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Those definitely are some challenges that we can face for sure.
Yeah.
So it's real quick. Just want to find out too, like on the other side of things, like how did you know, like, right? Okay, was there a point where you were like, now I know I've got it. I know I can make it. It's the fears have kind of subsided because of some kind of breakthrough or some kind of success that you had in your business?
Yeah. I would say that mine was based a lot on finances, I think, with that decision. I think that once I got to a point where I was able to replace my old income, and mine is kind of a unique situation because my previous job was a part-time, it was an hourly job, and it was 30 hours a week. So it didn't have benefits. So my salary was probably a lot less than most people might be. But for me, that was kind of realizing that I was replacing it, and that would be something that would be sustainable. And I think with self-employment, a huge thing that we forget to factor in until where it's due is taxes. And I think that was kind of a big eye-opener for me, was realizing that just because you replace your income doesn't mean that you paid your taxes yet. And so kind of now I'm at that stage where I'm working, where we're okay. I'm doing what I need to do, but I'm trying to up level. And so I think that that's a big thing, is kind of for me, the deciding point was I've replaced my old income, and now I'm at the point where I need to move upward and continue to grow. And I don't want to settle with that. And so I think that that was my deciding factor. And then now, 1 year later, I'm at the point where I'm like, big changes are happening, and I need to do whatever I need to do to make them happen.
Yeah, that is awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing some insights in your story and experience with business. And I, before we go, though, I just wanted to say, if somebody wanted to find out more about you and maybe what you can do for them, where can they find you at?
Sure. So they can definitely visit my website. It is www.line, Line, like the last four letters of my name, Writing Co. So linewritingco.com. And then also I'm on Facebook as Line Writing Co. So either of those avenues would be perfect to get in touch.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for sharing today, Caroline. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. It was great to talk with you, and I appreciate what you're doing to really give others kind of some insight, because that's something that's, I think, so needed, is that encouragement and seeing that others can do it and so can I.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for joining me on today's episode. I really hope you found it valuable. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you would share it with somebody that you think might also find it valuable. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show so you don't miss anything coming up in the future. Also, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hop on over to purposedrivenfunnels.com and get on my email newsletter over there so that I can share some, secret insights that only people on that email newsletter are going to get. And I'm really working on some big projects and things that I'm going to be putting out there for free that are really going to help you guys start your business and get it off to a start even faster than what I did. So get on over there and get signed up for that, and I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, I'm wishing you success on your purpose-driven business journey. God bless.